Put your hands together for Steve Flynn.
Kind of short, you can't see because of the banister. That wasn't the joke. If you will give me a minute. Short people don't get no respect. No respect whatsoever. Prime example. I got pulled over by the police in a work truck on the passenger side. Cop comes up to my side of the truck, he pats on the window. "Excuse me, son. How come you're not wearing your seatbelt?" I said, "Officer, I am, just not the shoulder strap." And before I even had a chance to explain my defense, he's like, "Don't you know that years of scientific technology has went into that device so that it could save your life?" I said, "Well, officer, I'm sure that it has, but don't it defeat the purpose if it chokes the shit out of you before you get where you're going?" He's like, "Oh, I see, we got us a comedian here." If only he knew. He's like, "Mr. Funny Man, he's writing me out a ticket. He gives it to me, I look at it. It's a ticket for not using a booster seat." You all laugh, this is my life. Another example, I work in construction, and I flipped the dingo. I had to call my boss and I had to tell him, "Hey, look, man, I flipped the dingo over today at work." He's like, "Oh, are you all right? Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm fine. It's all good." And he's like, "Well, you know, as long as you're okay, everything's all right." I come in the next morning, he's got a sign on the dingo that says, "You must be this tall to operate the dingo." Once again, the short jokes, they absolutely kill. Let me clear up a couple things for y'all right now. Not now, nor have I ever resided under a bridge or in a treehouse. I did not come from over the rainbow, and I am not on vacation from Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I don't have a pot of gold. The only thing you're going to get if you grab a hold of me is an ass whooping. That's what you're going to get. By a round of applause, where my married people at? We got any married people in here tonight? Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that fell for that love, honor, and obey crap. Obey hell. If my old lady would obey, I'd have to be able to quit squinting her in the face with that damn water bottle. She don't listen worth hell. I've been with my old lady for going on 14 years now. 14 years, and I love her to death. Really, I do. But sometimes she does some stuff that really gets on my nerves. Like talking. That whole talking thing, ladies, y'all don't know this, but that'll drive a man to drinking. So ladies, if your man comes home after a hard day's work and he's had a couple of beers at the bar, he's tied one on, don't automatically ship him off to AA and think that he has a drinking problem. Because maybe, just maybe, you have a talking problem. I have been with my old lady for 14 years, and in 14 years, I have never once cheated on my old lady. That's right, give it up for me, never once. That's right. But whenever we got together, we was under the understanding that if we ever found anybody that we would rather have sex with, that we would just break up. It's a fantastic policy. Fantastic. Because in 14 years, I have never cheated on my old lady. I have broke up with her 5 or 9 times though. And see, I love her to death, but sometimes she gets on my nerves. She's always telling me stuff like, "Oh, our relationship is 50-50. It's 50-50. Explain this to me. If our relationship is 50-50, how come after 14 years, me and my wife are still arguing over who's going to put the toilet seat down? Didn't I do my 50% when I put it up? Do your 50%, put it down. Quit being lazy. That's all I'm saying. We do. We fight. she had her arm amputated, and her husband didn't love her anymore because her arm was amputated. If I ever had to have my arm cut off, would you still love me? And I was like, honey, of course. What kind of man do you think I am? She couldn't stop. Must have been the woman in her. She couldn't stop there. She was like, well, if I ever had to have both my arms and both my legs amputated, would you still love me? And I was like, ooh. They can't amputate a vagina, can they? As long as you got that crucial piece of equipment, I can work it out. I got to sit and spin. I can teach you some chin push-ups. I mean, hell, I've always wanted to fuck a midget. I love her to death, though. But I round of applause for my people with kids at. Kids? Who's got kids? Man, kids are fantastic. As long as you don't value things like peace and quiet. See, I got 2 kids, and they're fantastic. And I use the same technique to raise my kids that my mama used on me. It's called fear. It works. My mama used to make me get my own switch. And at 7 years old, that's like OJ saying, hey, pass me that knife. Yeah, it's funny to you all, but y'all didn't have to go through it. That's all I'm saying. But I use fear, and it don't work. Let me ask you people with kids this. Have you ever tried anything on your kids that your parents tried on you and had it backfire? Anybody?
Oh, hell yeah.
Last summer, I was fixing lunch for my kids. I told them, I said, come on in, wash up, get ready to eat. It's time for lunch. And they come in, they washed their hands, sat down at the table. My little girl looked at me. She's like, Daddy, I don't like this. I did the same thing to her that my mom would have done to me if I'd have done that. I said, there are starving children in Africa that would kill for their SpaghettiOs, damn it. You're going to eat them. This little heifer pushes the bowl to the middle of the table and says, pack that shit up and send it to Africa. I ain't know that. And I was a young father. I've had kids ever since I was 18. And so I didn't always know what to say. And so I couldn't meter it. And one day I was in the bathroom having a little me time, you know, just myself. Yeah, y'all know what I mean when I say me time. And my son busted in on me. Well, what do you say to him? You got Mr. Happy in I couldn't think of it. So I was, you know, and I was like, we was just having a conversation. He's like, well, I didn't know it could talk. I said, boy, you give it about 10 years and you'll realize that's the loudest voice you got in your head. Well, about 15 minutes later, he goes into the bathroom and he disappears. And he comes, you know, he's in the bathroom, so I figured I'll return the favor. I keep the bathroom door open and he's standing there like this. He looks up at me and I'm like, boy, what are you doing? He said, I was just looking at it. Me being a father and man, I had to ask, well, you know, what do you think? He's like, it's kind of small. I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't. So I said the first thing popped into my head, welcome to the family.